This is Join the Dots. Hello, this is day 5 of COP26, 5th of November 2021. It was a random collection of people I managed to interview yesterday. It's not that easy to approach strangers and ask them to be interviewed. But I have a promise of a call back from someone at the International Indigenous Peoples Forum on Climate Change, because you see them around in traditional dresses from all over the world, and it'll be interesting to hear why they are here. In terms of the roles people have at COP, they are varied, but all of them are about listening and talking and sharing. And as Tanai put it yesterday, crying sometimes, not literally, not that I saw, but sharing emotions and heart as much as evidence and brains. And there are those who are working on negotiations. I tried to speak to a few of them yesterday, but they are civil servants of different countries and they're not allowed to make public statements generally, not just at COP. But they're working to make agreement between countries and organizations possible, pledges, statements, announcements, etc. They're difficult to agree because change, necessarily and beneficial though it is costly, and there is resistance to it. Anyone who had to change a habit like stopping smoking, drinking too much, trying to lose weight, stick to a sports routine will tell you how difficult it is, even though we know it is good for us. The same, I guess, is for economy, business, government, individuals when it comes to their relationship with nature. And for far too long, we assumed nature is free, it is forever there, or someone else's responsibility to care for. We're now realizing that assumption is wrong, but putting that realization into practice will take time for some of us, even if others have completed that transition. We just hope that it's not too long. Especially on this day, which is the Youth and Public Empowerment Day, and an estimated 10,000 people are expected to gather in George Square in Glasgow city centre. And I already saw a mini protest inside the Blue Zone by a group of young people. All good. To end on the travel point as to whether the world leaders had to fly in, if they don't come in, would media still cover the event as much? I don't know. We need to find some journalists to ask. But yes, at least Boris could have taken the train. But when it comes to the more important work of the negotiators and people who are in the pavilions and in the green zone, we'll hear about their work at the end of the conference. And whether it was worth travelling to here is not something we can conclude now, or even at the end of the conference, but what happens after, what we all do to make pledges reality. So this is day 5, part 2. As I record this, you might hear fireworks in the background because, of course, 5th of November in UK is Guy Fawkes Night. And from where I am, I could see quite a bit of Glasgow skyline, and lots of small community fireworks are going on in the background. In the second part of today's update, I wanted to cover another topic my brother Ty's raised, which is about education and awareness. He said kids want the newest iPhone, iMac. They don't walk to school, their parents drop them. It was the same for a long time, in fact, and not just today's kids. But he's right, there seems to be less of them actually playing football than playing football on their PlayStation. And parents encourage this by buying them the next plastic or electronic toys, especially in the run-up to Christmas in the UK anyway, that lots of parents are in search of such things, even if they can't necessarily afford them. That reminds me of an online discussion I was part of late last month, organised by Hackney Social Radio. Hackney is a borough district of London, And one of the participants made this point about Christmas, that instead of parents buying the latest toy, they should find ways of spending more quality time with their children. That conversation was between 3 older and 3 younger people who lived in Hackney. It was recorded and you can find it online. I recommend you have a listen. It was quite an interesting conversation for me. I've learned a lot. It is on www.lovehackney.uk. Hackney spelt as HACKNEY /health and well-being. Scroll down to older people's voices and you'll see it called an intergenerational conversation about climate change. Because of course on this day of youth and Youth and Public Empowerment Day, I think that conversation is particularly poignant. We'll share the link on the website and show notes, of course. Thailand also makes the point of power of sports training and sense of discipline and teamwork it brings, and says he tried to get local landowners together to build a cricket pitch, but it hasn't yet worked out. But I say, Thai, start a club in the municipal pitch or a school garden and see what happens. Build it and they will come, as they say. He also gave me the good news that he just bought a new car that's gas sipping, not gas guzzling. And I think we need to have aspirations to have gas sipping or electric vehicles, or where possible no vehicles, and not give the aspiration that gas guzzling cars are the best. And I wish you all the best with your Kew Gardens in the Caribbean. Can't wait to see at least some photos. So this is the third and final part of the update for day 5. You're going to guess that I didn't go into blue or green zone of the conference today. And unfortunately, I'm not able to meet Jill either because she had to go back down to London today. So we'll catch up with her when we're both back in London and can be online with Sabine. So I was this afternoon at a meeting instead of the conference. And the meeting was the first meeting in person, or half in person, half online, of the Environment Council for the First Minister of Scotland. So Scotland, not being an independent country, doesn't have a Prime Minister. The UK, United Kingdom, has a Prime Minister, but the highest political office in Scotland is called First Minister, and currently the position is occupied by Nicola Sturgeon. So I am a member of this Environment Council. I'm super excited and totally honoured by this appointment. And she is basically, the council is there to advise the government on achieving various environmental goals and pledges, putting them into practice, but also not to see environmental goals as separate than any other political or social or economic goal. We are there to integrate all these considerations. And it's this kind of thing that we try and cover in the podcast a lot, that everything is related, everything is linked to each other. That's why the podcast is called Join the Dots. And that's what we're trying to do in the council. In fact, when it was my turn to speak, that I did mention Join the Dots, but I didn't plug the podcast. I didn't think it was appropriate. So we covered various environmental issues, and we'll put a link to the press release because the first report of the council was out today. But the key thing is that I think there is a great ambition for Scotland to be an example in the international arena, to show what can be done. And also I think it's a really great opportunity to be positive about this. I know it's a climate and biodiversity crisis, and it is a crisis, but we cannot solve the crisis in a crisis mode. We need to have aspirations, we need to have energy to deliver the solutions to that crisis. And let's take this opportunity to think of a different world, a different system to be possible, not one that forever tries to grow and at all costs, but one that brings human well-being and happiness and health forward. There's no, as someone said the other day, there's no point having a pension if you can't even leave your house. If your children can't play outside, what's the point? Or your grandchildren can't play outside, what's the point of having a good pension? I think it's Extinction Rebellion, or I don't know who started, but Jodie in our episode with her said there's no money on a dead planet. But let's not think about just dead planets. Let's think about what would be a better way of living. Let's focus on that. And on that note, I'll finish the update today. Tomorrow there's a demo, and we're going to that, and we'll update you from there. Have a great Friday evening. Thank you for listening, and we'd love to hear from you on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook.